Earlier, you told CBS Sports that Ryan Tannehill has been babied by your coaches. And now I'm curious if you could give us an example of that.
Well, I think he's been baby. He's been handheld. He's been handheld his entire career. And when you're trying to establish whether or not a guy is a franchise guy, you have to let him make his own mistakes. And I just don't feel like that has been the case. When you have a guy who he is very smart and he has skill set that I believe we haven't seen because it hasn't been he hasn't been given that liberty to just do and go and say, Ryan, go ahead, play. Let's see what you're like. Call, make the checks, make a couple 2-minute play calls, like give him the reins, untighten the leash, if you will, like loosen the leash. And that just hasn't happened. And I've been with him for a year, and I know how he feels about it. I know he wants more ownership. He wants more liberty to do different things. And I think hopefully this year will be that year.
Yeah, well, you guys are under new leadership now, a new head coach. What do they have to do differently then to let Tannehill progress and develop in the way that he needs to?
Well, I think it's just what I mentioned. It's allow him to make mistakes, and I think that's the case with any player that has the potential. And I do not like using that word because it's a word that lets people know that nothing's manifested yet, and we're waiting. But he has that potential, and it's all about letting him to see if he can do it or not. And he's had good years. He hasn't had any great years, but this year it took a step back. And when you're looking at trying to find a franchise guy, you got to be willing to allow that guy to make his own mistakes and to live with those mistakes if they're made.